Yo, so what's up? Nets Twitter, All-Star break. I heard you guys talking a little bit about how much you miss basketball. Relax. Everybody relax. You need to take a break. And yo, thanks for pulling up. I had this idea. I guess it was like a half-baked idea, but I was like, yo, why don't we try and get just like a group of Nets Twitter people, like a Nets World Roundtable for like an All-Star break podcast, just to mix it up. And maybe you guys could meet each other for the first time or cross paths or I don't know, do the internet friends thing. So I think the best way to go about this is I guess I'll like lead, but like everyone's got to introduce themselves. So maybe everyone mute and then we'll go around. I'll lead off. I'm Keith McPherson, talking Nets. Maybe everybody introduces themselves and they also say how they became a Nets fan. Keith McPherson, talking Nets Twitter. I became a Nets fan when the Nets went to back-to-back finals after the Jordan era. I needed a team. I'm from Jersey, and that's where it all got started for me. I'm going to mute, and then whoever would like to go next, please go next. Maybe Hudson should go next. That makes the most sense.
Hello, it's Hudson, the co-host of this podcast, even if Keith doesn't like to admit it. I became a Nets fan when they moved to Brooklyn because I was born in Brooklyn. I was not a fan of any team. I just kind of liked players. And I'm a Brooklyn Nets fan. I never did really pay too much attention to the New Jersey Nets because I was like 6 years old when they were like a good team. And I know Keith is going to clown me for that, but that's just the way it is.
Go ahead. My name is Matt Brooks. I became a Nets fan when they had Stephon Marbury, Kevin Garnett, Wally Zerbiak. Oh, wait, that was the Timberwolves. Because I was a Timberwolves fan growing up. That was a terrible bit. No, really though, I covered the team kind of tangentially, but I will say I was a fan of the 2018, 2019 team, and then they sold out and brought every superstar under the sun. But that's a little about me.
Well, I guess I'll go. So yeah, I've been a Nets fan since 04, 05. My family's always been Nets fans. Born and raised in New Jersey, North Jersey. So been through those hard years. There's no other way to put it. And yeah, it's great to see him finally chasing that first elusive title. And yeah, like Brooks, he's my teammate at Nets Daily, and I cover the team. So yeah.
Speaking of teammates, I'm going to take a self-lob right here for my co-host of Wingspan Podcast, Doug Barrick right here. Yeah, I know. I should have went first to toss it. But Nets fan, since the Nets moved to Brooklyn, didn't have any basketball allegiance before. I was busy playing Counter-Strike Source in my bedroom when my pops was watching the J-Kid era. And the name stuck, and then years later, we connected over it. He's been watching since the ABA, and I've become a bigger fan since then, before Dr. J, for that matter.
What's going on, guys? Spenny Harris here, host of the Fireside Nets podcast with Spen and Nick. I have been a Nets fan since my dad got us season tickets in 2002. Right along with Keith, I was there for those back-to-back finals appearances with J. Kidd and Richard Jefferson, and who can forget Kenyon Martin? So that's where my fandom started.
What's going on, guys? My name is Will. I'm with Nets Depiction. I became a Nets fan really when they moved to Brooklyn. I didn't really have any allegiances like what you guys said, and it was either that or the Knicks, and I think I made the obvious choice.
Perfect. I think that's the intro, and I think everyone's introduced themselves, and that's cool. I'm looking at the screen. I'm like, the only face reveal is Will, Nets Depiction. I think I've seen everybody else on Twitter. I obviously have worked with Matt Brooks. We've done the podcast with Doug and Chris, and we've done the podcast with Spencer. My next question for everybody to answer is, what'd you think about this Blake Griffin stuff? And give your honest answer. I will say when Shams first said anything about Blake Griffin, I replied, we don't want him, we don't need him. But I'm not Sean Marks, and I don't represent the front office of the Brooklyn Nets. Clearly, we did want him, and he wanted us, and now we've got Blake Griffin, scarier hours as the Nets are trying to shore up this team and make sure that they do get to a finals. I'll mute, and then the next person can go.
I mean, I'll go first. I'm sorry to cut you off, Chris. I know I do this anyways on the podcast, but we get him for the vet minimum. Like, I did not see that coming. I didn't even realize we still had that option. So that in itself, was pretty good. The one thing that always concerns me, the one reason when people are like Drummond, Griffin, whether or not Drum's on the table, is injuries, the knees. Like right now, the best comparison you can give him is Jeff Green right now, who's been killing it. So it's kind of tough to kind of match those two two up of who gets to close out. We'll see. Hopefully those knees stay good. James Harden gets that big man revival type pass ability, and we'll see. But seems like a great locker room experience. He's got a show on True TV, so maybe we'll be on the Practical Jokers, so it's a win-win-win. We'll see. But anyways, Def can't go wrong with that. He's sell for stars. What else is there?
Yeah, just piggyback off what he said. It's just another big body in the rotation that could play make. That's how I view it. And obviously, having Blake come in a veteran minimum, that's a benefit on its own. And how I view it, especially, is that the Nets kind of just held him from going to another contender. So, do I think down the line? Obviously, like me, I think ahead. So I'm thinking, all right, is he a Joel Embiid stopper? Is he that guy that they're going to have to really kind of just have? Well, no, he's not going to be a Joel Embiid stopper, I think, but overall, it's another big body Nash could throw in the mix. He's going to be a 7th, 8th guy. And on top of that, he's got playoff experience. The connections are there between DeAndre, the rest of the guys. And his role is to be determined, on the Bleacher Report thing. He said he could fill in a 4-man. Woj reported that he's going to be a backup 5. It'll be interesting to see how it goes. But, the thing that stands out to me the most is Blake. He knew where he wanted to go from the beginning. There was no really hesitation behind the Nets move. It wasn't like, oh, he's considering this team or that team. So that's how I view it overall. I view it as a positive. I don't really see too much negatives to it.
It's a very low risk move for me. I think someone mentioned it. They got him at the veterans minimum. It's $1.3 million, right? That's his contract right now with the Nets. So pretty good contract. What worries me is this did not address the need that the Nets have at the front court. They need help. They needed a Drummond or a JaVale McGee. Griffin's a stretch 5 at best. He's really a 4. Is he still able to hit that open 3-point shot? He's only shooting like 32% right now from 3. I don't know if he addresses that need, but it's a low risk move. It's a big name. He'll play good with James Harden and Kyrie. I don't hate the move.
Yeah, I think for me, I think we get really caught up in the name Blake Griffin. It's just another exciting name to add. But at the end of the day, we got to see what he looks like, today in 2021. And I think he's definitely going to be rejuvenated now that he's on a contender. And we've seen Harden rejuvenate people's careers before. So I'm excited to see what Blake brings to the table. But, I think it's a very low risk, high reward signing. And on the vet minimum, I don't think you can really be upset about it.
All right, Matt here. Look, man, we've watched a lot of strange names come in and play minutes for the Nets. Norvel Pell. We've watched some Andre Robertson. Roberson. I always screw that up. I don't know. I think it's Robertson. I guess I don't have to know anymore. Iman Shumpert. All these guys that there were okay minutes, I guess. But at the end of the day, you're just getting somebody that's going to come in there and just do certain things well. And I think that's such a luxury. And at the end of the day, you can kind of figure out rotations however you want, throw the talent out there and just sort of figure it out. Maybe you move Jeff Green, up a position to the 4. Maybe you try Claxton at the 4, have him defend a little more, on the perimeter, at least on the defensive side. I think there are ways to figure it out. And ultimately, you're in a position where everything's so interchangeable on offense. It just becomes a question of, can you just remain passable? That's all they're doing. They're just trying to stay at 12th on defense. If they can do that with Blake Griffin, then it's worth it. If not, look, I was going to tweet this out today. We'll know in like 2 weeks what this is looking like. Like, if it'll be 2 weeks, we'll be like, I don't know if Blake Griffin can even run anymore. Or it'll be like, this is a great signing. Can't believe they got him. He's making plays out of the short roll, doing what he needs to do. So I think for that reason, it makes a lot of sense to do it.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are hitting all of like the stats angles, like the logic angles. I just want to take a moment to talk about how like Bleacher Report and like all these other major, like they keep saying that like the Nets are now like the superest super team ever to super team. And I don't know if Blake Griffin is the guy that did that. I keep seeing these graphics. It's like the Nets have Kyrie, KD, James Harden, and Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan. I'm like, do you guys have you watched either of them play this season?
Where's the Bruce Brown love? Where is it?
Like no Bruce Brown love, no Nick Claxton love. It's all about the super team that is the 2012 Clippers. And I mean, look, I love that the Nets are finally getting hype, but you can tell who's watching the games on these social media accounts and who's not.
You might as well put DeAndre Jordan on those graphics. If we're gonna put Blake Griffin on there, DeAndre Jordan was an all-star.
These guys just go off of the names that they used to see in 2K, and they're looking at these names come together now. And it's funny that Hudson said that, because the next thing I was going to add to this is it's another reunion. It's DJ reuniting with Blake
Bruce
Griffin.
Brown.
It's Blake Griffin reuniting with Bruce Brown. It's Team USA reuniting. We've seen clips of Blake Griffin, James Harden. So he's just like getting back with some of his homies. And what we saw with James Harden is he was dogging it. What we saw with James Harden was he didn't really want to play in Houston. Oh, he definitely didn't want to play in Houston. And then he gets with the Nets, and it's like, yo, this is the best basketball player we've seen in a while. Like, he is the MVP. He's the best player on the court every night. And then he elevates guys like Bruce Brown. He elevates guys like DJ. Blake Griffin's over there like, I want to get elevated too. I think I'm going to the Nets. I don't care what the price is. Get me out of Little Caesars Arena. I'm going to Brooklyn. We're going with Brooklyn. Brooklyn.
Better pizza.
There's a 0% chance that Blake Griffin does not dunk in his first game as a net.
Yeah,
Like,
so
I
Well,
Can
That's
he
the
not
over-under
dunk
on
at
the-
all?
on
Someone
that?
said he hasn't dunked. Well, I saw some video. It's like, this is Blake Griffin dunking
2019.
in November. Okay, he hasn't dunked in a single game this season, correct? What does that matter? Like, I don't know if that, like, we have enough people that can dunk. Like, can he play defense? Can he shoot? Can he play defense is number one. Can he come off the bench and get buckets without dunking? Yeah, he's 31 years old. I think he's still got something left, and we're going to see it. I think Harden will bring it out of him.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Like, if we've seen anything this year, Harden just makes basketball so easy. It's not a coincidence that like Landry Shamit's starting to play well. Claxton's looking comfortable on offense. Claxton's been better on offense than he has on defense in the last couple of games. And Claxton's a great defender. So that kind of tells you what this guy does. He makes things so easy. Bruce Brown he's already reached the point where every single blogger, analytics guy, they love him. They absolutely love him. And it's so predictable because he does little things, but it all comes from Harden. So yeah, for that reason, I think that's a great point.
I mean, I think it's crazy, to be honest, that we're really looking to the season and, is Harden the best player on this team? And in a way, obviously that's sort of like a crazy thing to say, but, maybe it's recency bias because KD hasn't been out there. But in another way, that's kind of like the greatest thing possible at this point. When we got Harden, I know everyone was like, oh, we gave up so many assets. And we gave up a ton of assets. But you look at the other 29 teams in this league, and there's only a handful that are going for that championship. So the way I look at it is, at the end of the day, we can't say that we didn't go all in for this championship, because there are some teams that just sit there and they never do. But the fact that we got a Harden that we didn't know what type of Harden we were getting, and we're getting one that is at least playing on par with Kevin Durant. And I agree with Keith. I think he's the MVP this season. I've really talked myself into that, and I really am going to be gunning for him to win MVP. So I'm just really excited just to see what he has in store for the second half, and really finally get the big three out there, or the big four if you want to count Blake Griffin, get them out there for a consistent stretch of games, and let's see what type of damage we can do.
Matt, you brought it up earlier when you listed all the nets that James Harden has made better this year. You forgot too. He has made life so easy for Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving playing off the ball has been phenomenal these past few months. And then the other guy, Joe Harris. I mean, how many plays a game is Harden just rifling a pass to a wide open Joe Harris who's pulling up for three? Harden has made everyone on this team better, especially the scorers. And it's crazy. We have not seen him play a lot with KD. But yeah, I agree with you, Will. He's the MVP right now. If he continues this 25 points per game, 11 assists in that second stretch, I don't think anyone can win it over him.
Now, since we're on a Nets, mostly of the Nets fans Zoom right now, I want to get you guys' opinion on this. With Blake in right now, what does this do to Claxton? I want to hear your guys' opinions on this. I know me and Brooks have talked about this, but I want to get you guys' opinions on that. What do you guys think?
It will up his stand-up comedy, that's for sure.
Honestly, in my opinion, I don't think if Steve Nash handles this properly, like Steve Nash is a rookie head coach, we don't necessarily know how he's going to react to someone coming in who's got this big name, but it doesn't necessarily have the talent to back up the name level stature kind of situation. And we have Clax who's coming off an injury and he's dealing with all of that. But honestly, in an ideal world, I don't think he interferes with Clax's minutes too much, because they're not playing the same role, right? They're not the same kind of player. And if you're going to utilize both of them to like their fullest extent, to me, when I look at it, and I'm not, I keep glancing at Matt Brooks on the Zoom. I don't want to say anything that's not like, with the film breakdown ethos or whatever, but they do different things. So I don't think they really should be interfering with each other too much. When you look at Claxton, he's not going to be a small ball five. He's not that guy. So honestly, when I look at it, I just don't see that there shouldn't be any conflict other than the fact that there's just a total amount of minutes that the Nets have to give to all of their players. And maybe now, since you're bringing in someone that is going to be playing a certain amount of minutes, probably more than, Roberson was playing before, there's going to be some conflict there. But ideally, I don't think there's much conflict because they don't do the same thing.
I think this helps Claxton. Nicholas, like, this dude is 10 years younger than him. He's a young man that is coming up in the NBA. He gets to watch Blake Griffin, James Harden, KD, Kyrie, DeAndre Jordan. He gets to watch these guys practice, and he gets to compete against them. The guy that I was actually worried about it taking minutes away from or it affecting was Uncle Jeff Green. I'm like, if anybody, okay, Uncle Jeff is, I think, 3 or 4 years older than Blake Griffin. Who knows? I'm interested to see their competition in practice. They do similar things. I think it'll affect Jeff Green more than Nick Claxton.
So the most minutes Jeff Green has played since the 2018-2019 season with the Washington Wizards. So I think you can cut a couple of his minutes. He's not somebody that is, you have to worry about, whatever. He needs a certain amount of minutes to play well. He just comes in, he's a professional, he's a veteran. That's the advantage of having so many guys like that. Only thing I'm worried about, and I think you can make it work on offense, because as I said, there's just guys setting screens left and right. Landry Shamet setting screens for James Harden. Claxton will set a screen. Blake Griffin will set a screen. And, they kind of make that an interchangeable machine. Defense, the only thing I'm really interested in, because one of Claxton and Blake Griffin really has to guard the perimeter. And I think by nature, you're going to say, well, yeah, Claxton will guard the perimeter. He'll guard, wings that are coming off screens or off ball screens and stuff like that. Problem is, that means Blake Griffin's your rim protector, who has got short arms. He's never been much of a shot blocker, really. That's the only question I have. And that's a weird Matt detail, a weird thing that I'm thinking about that, is probably not as big of a deal in the grand scheme of things. That's the only thing I'm watching for, is which one of those guys is going to be the, quote, quote, center, and which guy is going to be helping out with shooters around the perimeter. And that's it. That's the only thing I can think of right now.
I mean, there are 4 big men right now. So where do we rank them, right? Who's number 1? Who's getting the most minutes? Is it DeAndre Jordan still? Is it Jeff Green? Is it Blake Griffin?
It's always been Bruce Brown.
That's the correct answer. But no, seriously, I don't know. It's very hard. Chris, I think you said before, you put Griffin at the 7th or 8th best on the team. I heard Doug say 4th or 5th. Where are we actually ranking Blake Griffin on this roster?
Defensively, I'm definitely going with the lower numbers. But offense, I think he has potential. But we'll see.
And right, we don't know yet.
It's all matchup. The big thing is, what people don't understand is you're stockpiling for versatility. You don't know if you're going to play a Joel Embiid, Tobias Harris frontcourt, which is pretty big, AD, Bron. You don't know who you're playing. So you want to be ready. You want to stack all the cards and be ready for that every type. And the thing about Steve Nash, and I know I'm going on a tangent, but he doesn't care about the big names when it comes to who's playing. For the most part, he cares about what production. DeAndre Jordan, his minutes have collapsed since that whole Jared Allen DJ thing under Kenny Atkinson. No offense to Kenny, but he didn't have the power at the moment. But that's what I see. So I think Nash isn't afraid to pull. So if it's DJ going to lose minutes, Jeff Green going to lose minutes, Blake Griffin, I think all of them, it's an all-out melee.
Agreed. And then on top of that, you guys got to remember this too. With Steve Nash throughout this whole season, he's based who plays based on who they're playing. It's not who consistent minutes this, consistent minutes that. It's mostly who they're playing. And on top of that, you guys got to also remember too, there's a couple factors that weigh into this. Number one, Blake hasn't played in a long time. And you know how Steve Nash is with putting guys in the game, getting in game shape. He's very, very laid back with it. He makes sure they get into game shape before they go into the game. So it's going to be interesting to see how Blake fits overall when his opportunity does come. Maybe it's Thursday. Do we see a couple minutes of him? But overall, we've seen it with other guys that you could just go down the list. Andre Roberson, Iman Shumpert, all these guys that they really pulled off that haven't played prior to joining the team. He was very patient and reliant with kind of just putting these guys in, throwing them into the fire and all that stuff. So that's one of the things I'll be watching when that opportunity is going to come.
And I'll tell you what, too, you guys all gave fine answers, talking about the matchups and the ways that they use Claxton and how it's going to affect the team. But, maybe it's just my sick, twisted mind. but I just look at it from a content perspective. And Claxton has been my cash cow for these last couple of weeks. I mean, the people love Claxton. It gets them going, you know? So if Claxton falls out of this rotation, I don't know. We're going to have to make like another, like, fan favorite out of somebody. I don't know. But if I don't know what I'm going to do if there's no Nick Claxton.
That's
I'm
a
with
fact.
you.
I was looking at the clips that I was putting out for the games on the Talking Nets account. All Clax clips. Like the last 3 games. Like those are the only clips I've been putting out. They just do so well. And yeah, you're right. If we lose Clax, that would be an absolute disaster for next Twitter.
My downloads folder is 60 Claxton clips right now, just sitting there. It's my one thing I'm working on over the break. And I'm like, this Blake news breaks. And I'm like, is this the last time I'm going to download this?
The kid is a freak, yo. He's got like KD's body. He's got the Goldilocks. He's young. I'm hoping to get more hot mic stuff from him. I caught him on the mic saying, like, this shit is too easy. He dunked like a ball from Harden. He's like, way too easy. This shit's too easy. I'm like, I need more of that to clip up and raise the volume on to just keep like pumping Nick Claxton stuff. But it was funny. Someone mentioned, Steve Nash taking his time with his players. I'm like, watching Nash, I'm like, he'll catch a Pokemon, but he's got to evolve it and really evolve it before he lets it lets it like get in the game. I'm like, it's like literally 4 or 5 games before you see these guys get on the court after they sign with the Nets.
Honestly, though, like the thing that like I think this is kind of distracting Nets Twitter right now and a lot of NBA Twitter with this whole like Blake Griffin news. But the one thing I'm looking for the second half of the season and the Celtics game coming up next is Kate, like, can we get KD back? Like, I don't want to sound like a spoiled Nets fan, but like, I don't know. I kind of want to watch KD play with Harden and Kyrie. Like, I like, that's just me, but like, we got him, it'd be cool if we could watch him play.
Maybe we just wait till the playoffs at this point, unleash KD in the playoffs, and people don't have any time to like game plan or prepare for it. It doesn't matter if they game plan anyway. But yeah, at this point, KD is chilling, man. No All-Star game. That's the next thing I wanted to talk about with you guys before it gets too late in the show. What'd you guys think of the All-Star game last night? I actually loved it. I was surprisingly like pleased with parts of it. Don't get me wrong. Like I thought Cassius Stanley, got job because he went first in a dunk contest. The 3-point contest was great, and I didn't think guys were going to participate in those like skills challenges this year, and they did. And then the game was great. So let you guys go around and share your thoughts about the All-Star game last night.
Yeah, the first thing that came to my mind when I was watching the All-Star game is, can they bring back the rookies versus sophomores? Like, that's literally like the first thing that came into me when I was watching the Rising Stars. But I got to agree with you. The 3-point contest, that was the big takeaway for me at the whole night. It was electric. Dunk contest, the thing, Cassie Stanley, I agree with you. You got robbed a little bit because he made it look so effortless on the first dunk. And what was it, 43, I think he got on the first. So, I had him winning it. I've seen him throughout Duke and just everything. The guy's a highlight machine. I was like, he was waiting for that moment his whole entire life. And then with the game, it was an electric game, half-court shooting, you knew that was going to happen. Mm-hmm. And on top of that, you saw Kyrie dunk, you saw CP3 dunk, even Steph dunk. Overall, it's a success. Fans got what they wanted. That's how I view it.
Do you guys think that like they literally gave Katie's charity like $0?
No,
like,
they ended up
had
giving
to give
something.
right?
They gave
Okay,
something.
yeah.
It was significantly less. I forgot the amount.
Because that's got to be like a bit of an awkward thing where, because you saw those big boards right behind the bench where it was like, LeBron's charity was getting like 1.3 million and then just a 0 next to Katie's. So I don't know. But other than that, it was a fun game. And, just the way Dame and Curry were shooting towards the end was just absolutely ridiculous. You would hope for a more competitive game, especially with the lame ending. That's really, I feel like, where that shines, when like guys are going back and forth and, you have to get to a certain point and there's going to be a game winning shot regardless. But really, when it's a close game is when that shines. And we didn't see it this year, but last year I think really showed the potential.
Yeah, no, I mean, that ending type stuff is great. It just sucks that Team Durant was short Durant and Embiid. Like, what's with the barber thing going, man? Like, fresh cuts are nice and all, but damn. But like you guys said, 3-point contest was Mike Conley. Like, what a time to debut for the All-Star game, and also like 3-point contest. Skills challenge was pretty decent. The big man, like, Shaq may not always know what he's talking about. When it comes to bigs and skills challenge, it works. It's so weird. It makes no sense. And then with the All-Star game itself, it was pretty chill. And was what I don't think was appreciated enough was the sideline, like, camaraderie between Kyrie and Harden, as that's my Nets bias, and also CP3 jump ball. That was hilarious.
Yeah, I'm annoyed that they got rid of the bounce pass in the skills competition. I don't remember when they did that. They need to put that back in there because anybody can make a chest pass and hit a few shots. But I enjoyed the skills competition. The 3-point competition was awesome. Steph Curry is God in the NBA. Everyone else is just under him. And then the game itself, what's tough for me is the players play the game differently. So you had Steph and Dame doing their thing, taking crazy threes, but then you had Giannis just dunking the ball on the entire team Durant, and he ended up being the MVP. So which is it? Are we going more towards the 3-point crazy shots, or are we just going to play Shaquille O'Neal and dominate everybody? So I was kind of on the All-Star game. Obviously, it was a blowout, and Team Durant didn't have it. But I'd like to see it slightly more competitive next year.
Yo, Giannis started off like 17 for 17, and he shot one of those threes and didn't call bank and banked it in. Like, he can't shoot like those guys. To win MVP, Giannis has to dunk like he was dunking last night.
Did you hear the announcers? They're going, no, no, no. Oh, my.
Yeah,
and
don't shoot that.
Man, I'll not be the Debbie Downer. It was all right. It was like, it was cool. I mean, the 3-point contest was fun. I actually enjoyed that. The game, I think because of how good the game was last year, like maybe that's just me kind of getting that built up. Like this was kind of like the old All-Star game that we know of where they don't really try. They don't play that hard on defense. Some of the highlights were cool though. Like watching it back today, some of the highlights, I've now got it in my head that was way more fun than it was in the moment. Cause there were some like moments where guys are missing layups and stuff like that. And they're just like not trying. The dunk contest was just kind of confusing for me. Like I didn't know what was going. Like it was like the rules were different. It was just a weird vibe to it. The voting was so bad as usual. I don't know when they're ever going to figure it out. I don't know do we need like AI for this? Like, do we need to just completely depersonalize this? Like just make it the most ridiculous way of figuring this out. But I mean, overall, like it was cool. It was like, I had really low expectations. And part of that was just related to it was in Atlanta and I wasn't sure what it was going to look like with COVID. So because we got over that hump, sort of for the most part, it exceeded those expectations, but the event itself was cool. It was
We really did spend like 6 hours watching TNT though. Like as an NBA community, we dedicated our entire lives to like one cable network. And I thought that was pretty cool. But I don't want to bring it all the way back, but like Blake Griffin in his AMA today talked about what he would do to fix the dunk contest. And he said less judges. And I agree because at this point you're like, I know it's subjective and like, I get it, but like, and I don't know how you fix it. I don't know if you got to bring in robots. I don't know what you got to do, but like, you can't be giving Cassius Stanley a 44 on that dunk. And like, that kind of like soured my, like the taste of like the rest of everything for me. I was like, man, I feel like they could do better. I feel like the NBA could just do better.
Have we run out of dunks?
Well, no, that's what I was thinking. Like, I want like a frontward flip, like throw up the ball, frontward flip, catch it, dunk it. Like we run out. No, I'm serious. I think we definitely run out of dunks. Like ever since, 2015 All-Star game, Aaron Gordon, Zach, like what else is there? What are you going to jump over next? 2 mascots?
Make the judges a bunch of 15-year-old kids who have not seen any of the dunk contests from the past. Mm-hmm. And listen, they'll give them 50s.
You mean the casuals always hating on the Nets for everything they do and not even watch the game, just watch the highlight clips? Go for it. Why not?
They got to make criteria. I don't mean to cut you off, dude. I feel like there's got to be criteria because you can't just give a guy a low grade because he went first.
I mean, I think personally, my one thing is I say to fix the grading, like, I just feel like they're too quick to give out 9s and 10s. And they've set the expectation where, like, a good dunk is going to be a 50. Like, every dunk you're aiming for a 50. I feel like, Aaron Gordon, Zach LaVine, the Vince Carters, those guys were getting 50s. Cassius Stanley, were those all 9s and then, like, a couple 8s? No, like, those are probably, like, 6s. You know what? I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But at least if you do something like that, when someone actually pulls out something amazing and incredible, something that really gets us off our feet, all right, then that 50 was deserved. And I just feel like, we've run into it before where exactly like you guys said, like Cassius Stanley gets a low grade and then someone else goes and then everyone's just like, oh, okay, yeah, so this is going to be the quality of this year's dunk contest. 50. And I just don't think that's fair to anybody. Personally, what I would do is I would just send out Aaron Gordon and Zach LaVine and just duke it out, for the rest of the time until they decide to retire. Just give us what we
Derrick
want.
Jones Jr. too.
Yeah.
So something you brought up that's important is the scoring system. I think they should do ranked choice voting. Like watch the 3 for dunks, mark on your sheet, rearrange it if you want. I think that's kind of the best thing you can do because the whole number system is like, what are you really basing it on? And my issue was some of the dunkers used their best dunks first, like just in the first round. Like Obi had a great first dunk, and then it just got worse and worse, and that just killed the vibe for me.
Well, on top of that too, like aside from just the scoring, it comes down to the contestants themselves. It's one of those things we've seen the contestants since Aaron Gordon, Zach LaVine. There hasn't been that consistent route of I'm going with that guy. I can't wait to see that guy in the dunk contest. Props to the 3 guys that had committed themselves and did it. Highly respectable to them. But like at the same time, what does it take for athletes like Zion or even LeBron or just elite dunkers all around to say, you know what, I'm excited and I want to participate in this rather than get pushed into it. That's another angle behind it.
Yeah, that whole vibe kind of screwed us out of what would have been the greatest 3-point contest of all time if Joe Harris was involved. Also, I want to say I put out a tweet during the 3-point contest about like how Nets fans are like, they know Joe Harris would win that in his sleep. And boy, NBA Twitter, just vile. Just when Nets Twitter steps into NBA Twitter, like it happens like on our account like once every 2 weeks. Like all of NBA Twitter will like get attached to one of our tweets that we're just fucking around talking about the Nets, and it's just like it's so hilariously toxic. Like this is the Nets Twitter All-Stars. I'm happy that the Nets Twitter community as a whole is not like that toxic.
No, honestly, we're not at all. Actually, there's no
outliers.
Real that goes down between like the people that have been tweeting about the Nets for at least the last like 2-3 years. There's some people hiding behind accounts that they throw stones and hide their hands, and that's what Hudson's getting at. When we tweet something about Joe Harris, the thread turns into people replying to each other and then criticizing each other, calling each other names, picking at each other's profile. Like for what? Because we said Joe Harris would beat Steph Curry.
They all have playoff or season SZN in their names too. Every time.
All of them.
Hey, speaking on that though, I can't believe I'm bringing this up. This is sad. I need to get a better life. It was a great Twitter night though. All-Star Day it was like, there are days where I can't stand that up. That was a good one. That was hilarious that night.
You just watch. I didn't even tweet. I just was watching, reading threads, scrolling through, seeing people make memes and do stuff. And like, that is fun. I think this All-Star game, I wasn't expecting to enjoy it because they undersold it. They basically packaged it like the players didn't want to be there, like the players shouldn't be there. But then they also put like the historically black college theme on it being in Atlanta. And I'm like, well, they had to do that then. Like, they have to, like the players probably changed their tune a little bit once they saw what the like cause was or what the theme was. I think, every year they have a theme that fits the city. But yeah, overall, I thought the dunk contest was good, but we can't sit here and talk about the dunk contest and not talk about the fact that this guy Simmons didn't actually execute his dunk and won. Like he kissed in the air. He didn't actually kiss the rim, but I was cool with it because it's another L for the Knicks.
It was like that was 6 inches away from being the greatest dunk of all time.
That's
but
too
he just
far.
didn't get it. He didn't finish it.
Life is a game of inches, man. 6 inches is too far.
If he was wearing a mask, I would have been okay if he kissed the rim. Like, come on, man. It's so COVID.
What was the dunk a couple years? It was the blowing out the candle, right?
Yeah.
Gerald Green.
He should have taken a bite out of the cupcake. Like, come on, man.
Oh, you need a mouth guard. He may chip some teeth if it went wrong. I'm telling you now.
He had props. Put a prop on the hoop that comes out. I don't know where you can, you could get to. Like he had the McGrady jersey. He had the like mini hoop where he took the ball off and dunked it. He should have had a prop for that. There's no way, even if you did get up there, there's no way that you were going to be able to kiss the rim and dunk at the same time.
He looked like a middle schooler going in for his first smooch, and then he just gets nervous at the last second. He's like, "No, like I can't do this."
And that is who the champion is.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he dunks it, pulls up, then does the smooch. But
I think part of it was like they can't do, like in normal dunk contest, and that's why the vibe was kind of weird. It was so like compressed and quick, which is fitting for this NBA season.
Yeah.
Is there was no lead up. So it was like he just all of a sudden was dunking, and then it looked like his head hit the rim, and everybody's like, "What is going on here?" Like they, normally they would have had him come out the tunnel, and maybe I don't know, he does a kiss cam, something that's kind of like a riff off that, but
Or it would have been Valentine's Day weekend in any
Yeah.
other year. Like,
Yo, they could have set the mood with the DJ. They did not plan ahead with some of these things, and also the crowd noise did not help either. I think that's also another thing that just killed it. Like, this was probably one of the worst crowd noises I've heard.
On top of it, the players weren't like stoked with the dunks, that plays a big part of it, outside of the crowd. No players were really stoked over any of the dunks.
Yo, they just dunked and walked away. Like, there wasn't any trying to hype up the fake crowd, at least. Get into it.
I love Toppin dunking over his father. I think that was probably one of my favorite dunks because you couldn't have a lot of people there. You can't have teammates throwing lobs and stuff. It was a much more restricted dunk contest.
His dad's got hops though.
What's the point of a restricted dunk contest?
yeah, there's no point. But
Yeah, Adam Silver. Sorry.
Dunker's Delight. They, I like that because then they showed you the clips of his dad, and I'm like, okay, that's cool. You get to see that, like, he came from somewhere. They show you little Obi and his dad back in the day. So I appreciated that. What else we got, fellas? I think it's time to wrap this thing up. I think it's time to close this one.
Last I got to say, shout out to Greg Logan for keep asking the questions, getting that awkward reactions, especially from Harden, man. They're building chemistry.
Greg's the GOAT. It's like, man, he's the GOAT. He's the GOAT.
Dude, that was the top 2 moment of any of these calls. Like it was so
He beat out Bob
good.
for the most awkward interview.
It was great, man. He really got got James. I'm happy the video came out after the fact because I wasn't sure.
I got to see it.
Dude, he got him. James, you could tell he wasn't sure. Like he was like, is this guy really asking me this again?
He had to ask the guy next to him, right?
Yeah, he needed approval.
Well, he asked it and he was like, no, trust me, my sources, like these are top-notch sources right here. Like he's some foot in the door sales right here. Like this is like, talking with a real estate agent or something like that. Like
you make a clown for his defensive player of the year drum and stuff, but when it comes to asking questions, he does not hold back. Like he does not care, and it's so funny.
Yo, let's wrap on this. I have a question. It can just be a one-word answer. Do you have tickets to an upcoming Nets game? My answer is no.
Only if you buy me some.
So no.
No.
Me and Brooks may be attending a couple of games to cover. I think it's looking in that direction. It's looking in that direction.
Good,
so you'll
good.
See us at the Barclays. You'll see us at the Barclays pretty soon.
Yeah, man, I'm a reporter, bro. There's no way I got money for those tickets. There's
I grew up in the days when the tickets were $5 at the Izod Center. I'm not paying that much money.
Hey, it's gonna be a while till I can afford those.
The way that things are going, I might start flashing the Nets Daily thing too. They'd be like, "Oh, you report for them?" Be like, "Yeah, something like that."
Aye, Captain.
If I gotta pay, I ain't going. That's it.
Nah, yeah, I'm too set up at home. I got a good setup at home. It's been a whole year. We're coming up on a year. I think March 10th last year was when the Nets beat the Lakers at the Staples Center that night, and we all stayed up and watched that game. Then the next night, I'm watching other teams play, and they pull the teams off the court, and I thought we were walking into hell. I was like, I can't believe they're actually stopping the NBA.
Last game I went to was against the Grizzlies, 30-point blowout. It was terrible. One of the worst games I've ever watched, and I watched a lot of Timberwolves basketball in my life. So that's saying something. But that's the last game I went to. It's so weird. It feels like 6 years ago. And
Yo, we got a late entry.
No way.
He was feeling cheeky and decided to join us towards the end.
Has entered, and I was just about to wrap it up, but perfect.
Okay.
You're on.
How's it going? Like the glass shatters. Stop the music. Crowd goes wild.
So are you
so
going to be
sorry
going to
for-
a Nets game?
Sorry?
The question
So are you
that
going to be
was
going to a Nets
around,
game?
as you entered, the question that was going around was, do you have tickets to an upcoming Nets game? For the people listening on the podcast, Matt has entered from overseas, representing our Nets UK fans. Answer the question whether you have tickets to a game or not.
But I've got so many friends that are still clinging on to plane tickets to come over to go to Barclays. I've got one guy who's just I got two guys that join me on my BK2 UK podcast. They've still got tickets. I'm looking to come over. More importantly, I need to get tickets for a parade, right? For when that pops
No,
up.
there ain't no tickets for that. You could just show up when the parade comes. That's
I'm
gonna.
talking plane tickets, boat tickets.
Oh yeah, you got to get over here. Yes, but that's free. You get here, you're in there.
Hey, James Harden at a parade, like that's gonna be money right there. That's content right there. Everybody in here is creating content. That's gonna be great. Who was that was posted up with the Henny bottle a couple of years ago?
Oh, that was Jordan Bell. That's being in Brooklyn. That's gonna come.
James Harden's not wearing a shirt for like 6 months. I think that's like he's just gonna be on one.
Man,
this is gonna be like the Tom Brady Tampa Bay parade, but taken to like a 10.
Way different level.
It's going to be in the summer. No, it's going to be in the summer. It's going to be in Brooklyn. People are going to be like enough people will have gotten their vaccines. This is going to be like the first major parade in New York City. It's going to be the biggest party on the planet. And Matt's just excited to make content about it.
Looking at us cocky Nets fans talking about a championship in friggin' March.
How we've changed.
I'm sorry.
I just
sorry
hope
that we want to
Kevin,
get your knickers are in a twist right now.
I just hope Kevin Durant is able to chug a beer and not spit 3/4 of it out. That's all I want.
Who do we think chugs the most beers on the team right now? Blake Griffin might be one of those guys.
Nash chugs IPA.
Oh yeah, Nash probably makes sense.
Nash will get the truly.
Nash will chug like a double IPA. It'll be disgusting. He'll just chug a whole double IPA.
Joe Harris will be sipping on one. Joe Harris isn't chug. Someone's gonna throw one to Joe Harris. He's gonna look at it, see it's like a Bud Light, and just throw it away.
TLC, my guy TLC drinks everybody under the table.
Drinks red wine though. He's chugging red wine.
Keep it classy on them parade boats.
All right, fellas, let's wrap this up, man. I appreciate you guys taking some time out. All-Star break. Nets Twitter All-Stars. Even got a late entry. Oh, well, since you're here, you're supposed to do what we did when we started the pod. Introduce yourself. Tell people how you got into the Nets, when you became a Nets fan. This is Matt.
Yeah, good. Well, thanks for having me, man. It's currently 1:32 a.m. over here in the UK.
Yikes.
I had some power shortages, but luckily I'm back on. I run a Nets account called UK Nets Fans. Been rocking with the team since the move to Brooklyn. Had always been into basketball as a kid. Obviously, over in the UK, it's all about football. So it's kind of tricky to, if you're going down the pub, all your friends are kind of talking about football, and there's no one really that you can really sort of nerd out about the game. So started the account, and yeah, I was into basketball as a kid, as I said. Then I started working with a guy who was into basketball too, so that kind of reignited it. And I was like, the Nets had just moved to Brooklyn, and I'm like, cool, all right, that's me. They got a cool new arena, cool new ownership. Jay-Z's a part of that ownership. That didn't hurt. So I was like, this is me. Win, lose or draw, I'm a Nets fan. And then that was the 2013-14 season. So 1 year after, I think. And been rocking with him ever since through the 20 win seasons, and now on to the precipice of what's going to bring us to date. But yeah, thanks for having me on.
That's a quick shout out to this man, because this man stays up very late.
Scary hours.
1:30.
1:34.
He's not a rubbish fan like the rest of us. Go to sleep early.
I'm still flagging from staying up from All-Star yesterday, so I'm on very little sleep. But it's just part and parcel of being I mean, it's okay because you guys on the East Coast. So I got friends that are like Lakers fans and stuff like that are up like 5 a.m. UK time to watch games before work and stuff like that. But it's my cross to bear. What can I say? I'm up here like I'm like I've got some big sacrifice. But yeah, it's dope. Love it. Bleeding the Nets, and hopefully I can get back over to Barclays Center soon.
And think of this too, right? Matt's 6 hours ahead of us, and he never breaks news. He technically he found out about the James Harden trade 6 hours before the rest of us and never said anything.
I'm so just respectful, man. Yeah. I don't want to be that guy.
Credit to you, Matt. That doesn't go unnoticed and unappreciated from us. Credit to you.
I try.
Awesome, man. This has been great. I didn't know what to expect, but I'm pleased with the turnout. Hopefully Matt can come join us at the Barclays Center. Hopefully we have a parade. Hopefully we win the finals, because at this point, man, it's either championship or nothing. You heard it here. You see it on Twitter. We got Nets Twitter together, Talking Nets episode 86, I think. We got to close this the way we close the pod. So on the count of 3, I just need everybody to say, let's go Nets. 1, 2, 3.
Let's go Nets.
Wow, that was awesome.
Brooklyn.
We go hard.